As Jesus' time on earth was winding down, I wanted to visit the places where Jesus said his goodbyes. One location was Tabgha, where he first called many of his disciples. After the resurrection, Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 says Jesus visited nearly 500 people, proving to them that he had risen. How did Jesus say goodbye? And what did he want to communicate to his followers in these final encounters?
When I leave this earth, I want to say something really profound. I want to tell my family something that will reverberate throughout their lives, and something they'll always remember and ponder on and actively pursue until their dying breath, and then pass that on to their family. Before Jesus left this earth, he had some things to take care of, some things to say, and something to leave them with.
Jesus first needed to take care of his relationship with Peter, strained by Peter's denial.
When Jesus, after his resurrection, appeared to the women, he told them, "Go and tell my followers and Peter to meet me at Galilee." And I think that those little two words, "and Peter," really ought to be circled in all the Bibles, because here's the one who betrayed him the most, and yet Jesus is saying specifically, make sure Peter knows he's not left out. Make sure he knows I haven't forgotten him.
After visiting the disciples twice in Jerusalem, once without Thomas, once with, Jesus came to Galilee as he had told them, and found Peter and the disciples fishing. A church today marks the spot where many believe Jesus met with Peter. During that encounter, Jesus cooked breakfast on the shoreline and told Peter to feed and take care of his sheep. Jesus said this 3 times to cover the 3 times Peter denied him before the crucifixion.
All of us who are strong, when we fall, our regrets take us down to the depths. When we have failed, those of us who are high achievers, we feel failure. And it's not until someone else comes to us that we love and respect and say, "Don't go there. I got a mission for you here." And these people who I'm sending you to really need your strength. Feed my lambs. Feed my sheep. They need a shepherd. And so he's being re-empowered for that mission.
This is the part about Jesus that I love. I mean, he's proactive when it comes to forgiveness. Well, the cross is the best example. Jesus likes to get the tough stuff out on the table. He doesn't want any skeletons in the closet, and he refuses to let emotions fester for too long. He comes to us, he offers forgiveness, and he pushes it out the door, and he says, "Get to work and serve me."
Matthew 28:16 through 17 reads, "Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him." That mountain is believed to be Mount Arbel, right off the Sea of Galilee. So why would Jesus use Mount Arbel as a likely place for this meeting? Mount Arbel has sheer cliffs and caves used by many to fight against authority.
When King Herod gained the throne, that was at the year 40 BC, many of the people here, the Jews, revolted against him. From this very point, he lowered his soldiers in large wooden boxes using chains, metal chains, and brought them to face the caves. And those soldiers used huge hooks, just pulled the people out of the caves and dropped them down the cliff and killed them. It represented sacrifice, it represented fighting for being Jews and believe in God in this country.
So it seemed really appropriate if you were going to stand somewhere and talk about risking your life and giving for a cause that was for God, this would be the mountain.
That would be a mountain, and it for sure was remembered well by everybody around here.
Mount Arbel is the tallest mountain around and the best view of the ministry area that they experienced for 3 years.
Matthew 28 reads that Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age."
Jesus really summed up the whole question of why he came to the earth in the first place. He did not come to entertain them or give them stories to tell around the dinner table. He came to kickstart a ministry, and they needed to get busy. Go, create interest, make students and baptize and teach. From Mount Arbel, you can see for about 50 miles or so. And what Jesus seems to be saying from up here is, you remember everything I said as we traveled through this area? You remember the feeding of the 5,000 over there at Bethsaida? Remember when I healed a demoniac over there? Or how about the teaching on that mountain? Or how about when I walked on water right over there? Do you remember that? Now go and tell all the other regions, as far as the eye can see and even further, what I have told you.
Jesus offered a final reassuring thought. He wanted them to understand that he would be with them always.
Now that's very reassuring, especially for the apostles and what they were about to go through. He wanted them to know that they would not be alone, and they needed that confidence. Their sacrificial efforts brought the gospel to the world, and eventually, thousands of years later, to this age, to this time, to me, to you.
Finally, Jesus instructed them to go to Jerusalem. It's where the final goodbye would occur, on the Mount of Olives.
The Mount of Olives has a great view, this time of the entire area where Jesus taught, suffered, was crucified, and resurrected. Between this mountain and the one in Galilee, Jesus gave a full perspective of his ministry to his followers.
Mount of Olives is dominating Jerusalem. It's more so dominating the Temple Mount. It's above the Temple Mount. It's above the Temple Mount from the east, where the sun is rising. The temple faces the east. So that's a very strong connection there. It is the end of the green area, and beyond that starts the Judean wilderness, dropping dramatically down to the lowest place on earth, to the Dead Sea. After the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, it was forbidden for centuries for Jews to get into the city, and the only place that could watch the area with what was the Temple Mount and the Holy City in general was Mount of Olives. So Mount of Olives has a very strong association with feelings, with faith and belief.
After presenting himself for 40 days, according to Paul, to over 500 people and proving he was alive, Jesus told the disciples to stay in Jerusalem.
And Jesus' final commission, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creation. I try not to read that as some type of formal commissioning, but more of a go do good things. Let everybody know about me. Make a difference in the world.
As Jesus told them to go into the whole world, he also wanted to leave them with a gift that would help them wherever they went.
The gift he promised them was the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit would have a dispersing effect on them, pulling them in all directions from the immediate area, Jerusalem, outside of Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth, wherever that may be.
The Holy Spirit would be able to do something Jesus could not do, be in more than one place at one time. While Jesus was on earth and in an earthly body, he was limited by time and space. Now, the Holy Spirit could be with every believer, no matter when, no matter where. Jesus told them to wait in Jerusalem to receive that precious gift.
There's got to be some sense of separation, in the sense that I'm not going to be walking with you every day, not in a tangible, physical way. But I'm so excited because the Holy Spirit is going to deliver me into you every single day. So I think there is huge exaltation and a sense of, okay, here we go. He totally believes in the life that's in these men. He totally believes in it because it's his life. So I don't think there's any worry on his part. I don't think there's any concern. I think he's excited for the adventure that they're about to go on.
And then he ascended into heaven, a miraculous finish to his ministry, taken right up to the sky. For Jesus, it was a homecoming, returning to the presence of his loving Father. But for the disciples, it was the beginning of a whole new era in history. What they would do would change the world forever.
Jesus left his disciples with a mission and a purpose, and with a comfort that they would not be alone. These were fitting words for anyone saying goodbye.
When I leave this earth, if you give me 5 minutes before I die to tell people some things, I'll gather my closest family and I'll tell them that I genuinely am excited. I really cannot wait. I really cannot. I think it's going to be the adventure of eternity. I think it's going to be just something just beyond words. That's been kind of a recent development in my life. I really, and maybe it's because I have more and more people already over there. But I would want people to know I'm really okay with this. It's all right.